The Industrial Age in Forge of Empires. Before I decide to explore the first technology of the Industrial Age, I fill the first two technologies, industrialization and extraction, with forge points. I also make sure that I have the required supplies, coins and goods in sufficient quantities. For these first two developments alone, we already need 75,000 coins, 450,000 supplies, 50 glass, 90 bricks and 100 salt from the High Middle Ages and 60 basalt from the Late Middle Ages. This is a proven strategy at the beginning of each new age to shorten the time when you already have new age difficulty levels in your guild expedition but do not yet have new age units. The premium buildings that become immediately available with the new age are helpful but dispensable. The expensive price is not worth it, especially because 2 eras further on they are already worse than standard buildings. The research of the Industrial Age is very resource hungry. Thus, more than 3 times as much supplies are needed as in the Colonial Age. This is the relatively largest increase of all ages at all. All the demand for coins is almost 3 times as high. Here you can see the goods needed for research. It is worth considering to stay a little bit longer in the Colonial Age than you might initially plan to do. The goods of the Colonial Age are needed in the modern era as unrefined goods for the goods of the modern era. So it makes sense to have a much larger stock than you would otherwise do. Using this time to bring up great buildings with combat bonuses to level 10, if not already done, is, in my opinion, the most sensible use of this time. Because of the constant need of goods from the Colonial Age on for refinement in later ages, players of higher ages will trade them up with kissing hands. This makes it easy to exchange goods of the Industrial Age for goods of the Colonial Age, and later to exchange goods of the Industrial Age for goods of the Progressive Era. It is worth keeping the goods production buildings of the Colonial Era a little bit longer, as long as you have the required space in your city. Here is an overview of the total resources needed for research. It is pleasant that you only need some coke, fertilizer and rubber from the current age, and that only very late. Accordingly, all research is completed quickly and easily. You get the 2 area extensions very early in the technology tree, although 110 forge points each are a lot. Another 2 area expansions are obtained through the conquered provinces. The battles are easy to fight except for the bonus areas above and below. But these are not necessary to reach the Progressive Era and can be made up later. You can always return via the ship. Many players try to develop the Victorian houses quickly. Although these cause considerable reconstruction chaos in the city due to their 3x2 floor space, they create space. And so the city changes optically. The 2 great buildings of the Industrial Era are the Royal Albert Hall and the Capitol. I highly recommend to build the Royal Albert Hall if you don't have the Lighthouse of Alexandria. Any attempt to make it without this building will take its revenge at the latest from the modern era onwards, when unrefined goods from the 3rd past age are needed to produce the refined goods. No one will have missed buildings like the Lighthouse of Alexandria until now. It is not such a bad building, but it is simply not necessary. Even without the lighthouse, you could always produce enough goods and supplies. So the forge points were always better invested in other great buildings. This changes fundamentally. In principle, the Royal Albert Hall can be regarded as a contemporary better lighthouse. There is no hurry to build the Royal Albert Hall. At the latest, it should be ready for the modern era, whereby even low levels are a real help and help to reduce the lack of space in the city significantly. The Capitol is also very popular, but not with me. Later, 2 great buildings will be added which will bring more advantage in terms of population and forge points, and the stock production is better off in the designated buildings also because you can use them to complete quests. Those who built plantations in colonial age will often continue to use them and only add a few new production buildings due to the quests. The water pumping station benefits the most from every polish and is therefore particularly interesting, but in the meantime the need of happiness has decreased considerably for most players as the many event buildings already cover a lot. The topic of fighting in the industrial age is covered in a separate video.